The passage chosen for today's devotion from Bible is 1 Samuel, chapter 26. Confronted by Saul's persecution, David again tries to prove his innocence. Perhaps in the hope of bringing the king to reason, God continues to protect David, but despite David's heroic efforts, Saul will not change. Having seen God's vindication in Nabal's death, David is convinced that bringing Saul to book is not his responsibility. The Lord will deal with the king in his time, and by his means. David also understands that delegating the killing would not absolve him of responsibility. This is an important lesson for a future king whose commands will be executed by others, and one that will become tragically obscured years later when he commissions Uriah's murder. Paradoxically, David's reluctance to kill Saul leads to disarming the king, literally and figuratively. The taking of the spear, so often the instrument of Saul's murderous intent, becomes the proof of David's innocence and opens the way for the king's confession of sin. As in David's case, stating our position but refusing to retaliate in a quarrel creates space for repentance. David's speech highlights the cost he will pay, cut off from the sanctuary where the Lord resides in his worship, driven out of the land and potentially dying there, away from God's presence. In David's plight we may see Jesus suffering as he dies outside the camp, feeling forsaken, even by God. Such non-retaliation, however, should never become a mandate to stay in abusive relationships that are destructive mentally, emotionally, or physically. Despite our best efforts, some, like Saul, refuse to change, and it is not our responsibility to play God and try to make them. David did what he could in court and in hiding, but tellingly, despite the king's invitation for him to return, he would not. Though you pound a fool in a mortar with a pestle, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. Pray for those in abusive relationships and for discernment for all in creating healthy boundaries.